Hello and good afternoon. This is Christine Deane, your DFW Networking Diva, and I am so excited today because I get to connect you to who you should want to know. And I'm just saying, you want to know Michelle. Michelle is fantastic. She's going to save our lives. I'm telling you, it's just going to be amazing. So we're just going to bring her in and we're just going to have a lot of fun today. Michelle, welcome.
Hi, Christine.
Great to be here so today. Excited, right? Okay. Now, health. This is your thing. This is your area of expertise. So we're going to bow to your expertise because goodness knows we all don't pay nearly as much attention to our health as we should, right? It isn't until we run into problems that we're like, oh, I guess I better fix that. Well, how about you never have the problem to start with? Oh, that's crazy talk, right? So, I'm thinking you have lots of tips of wisdom to share with us. Tell us a little bit about you, your background. How did you get involved in this?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I didn't start off in health and nutrition. I actually started off as being a chemist. And I was in corporate America for a decade and just, was slogging along. But I just wasn't helping people. And I decided, you know what, I need to change course because I really wanted to impact people's lives in a positive way and truly, truly help them, whatever it was. I didn't know what it was yet. And then I went to culinary school. Did an externship in France. And I tell you, it was craziness. Didn't know the language, nothing. Just got into like a Michelin-starred restaurant and figured it out. Came back to the States, and that experience was amazing. It was fantastic, but it really told me that I did not want to own a restaurant. Not want that.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I mean, it's a labor of love. I mean, right. It's awesome. But then I really wanted to help people, help individuals, help employees, help groups, really take control of their own health, right? And I wanted to fill that gap between knowing you should be healthy and actually doing something to get healthy.
Oh, accountability. You're going to make us do something? You mean it doesn't just happen like magic? Come on now.
Yeah, you can't go to sleep and have, the pillow have good things and going into your body.
It does all the work for you, right? Isn't that how that works? No. Yeah. Oh man, this sucks. All right. We're biting down. We're going to do it, right? Okay. Yep. So if we're going to be healthy, so I'm guessing as the whole chef side of this, nutrition is probably a huge part of what you focus on.
It is. Just because, I'm a classically trained chef and not everybody loves to cook. But I think when you are cooking for yourself or when you're, knowing how to read a food label correctly, that's a great way to immediately impact your health at a cellular level because food is information for our body. And what we need to do is get great information to have great energy, vitality, longevity, and it really comes down to happiness too, because our health can directly impact our happiness.
So absolutely. Oh my goodness.
If you're the least bit sick, Christine, like you have a little cold, like a sniffle, maybe a slight sinus headache, are you happy at that time?
Right.
Probably not because you're kind of sick.
I'm telling you, my allergies have been going nuts. I live in Dallas, Texas area, and that is allergy just the whole area, right? So I'm every day like, can't see, can't breathe, so you're right. Our just even a little tiny bit has a major impact on how we feel and our happiness. So yeah. And so you're saying if we start eating healthy, we might feel better. What a crazy idea there, Michelle. I'm going to say you hit on a couple of things right off the bat that got my attention, right? So whether or not you enjoy cooking, right? That's a huge thing. And I admit myself, I've got the empty nest syndrome going on. So, I only have to worry about cooking for the dogs and they tend to be pretty open-minded, right? And my honey's kind of picky, but he'll deny it, but shh, don't tell him. But really, right, when you get to the point that you're not cooking for a large family, your kids, right, you start cooking differently too. Right. So my cooking habits have changed. Whereas I was always concerned about feeding the children healthy. For myself, I probably don't eat as healthy as I should have and as I did when my kids were growing up, right? So we've got different phases. So whether or not we enjoy cooking, I did a lot of cooking when they were younger. Now I'm like, sandwich is good. I mean, so I'm sure I'm not the only one in that position, right? People that don't necessarily want to cook anymore, right? So if you've got ideas on that to make it easier for us, heck yeah. right? I'm all about that.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, there are so many stages to your life. I mean, I have an adopted daughter. She's 12 now. So I cook a little bit differently than before we got her. And then, she has a very good palate. I'm really lucky. And it could be that because we were putting good foods in our body at a young age. And when you get good foods in your body, you have this brain, gut brain connection. And when your gut gets good food, it craves good food. So that could be one of the reasons she's not adverse to green food. Of course, she had green smoothies as a child and always throwing green stuff in front of her. And it's not like we made her eat that stuff, but I think just putting it in front of your child, right, and not making a stressful moment of it, then eventually they're like, hey, give me some of that. I did that with my stepdaughter too. We used to take her out to restaurants. A lot of times we would get it's called a hot pot. We go to Chinese restaurant, and it always had broccoli in it. But we never made her eat broccoli even at home, any other green foods. But eventually she just kept seeing it all the time. So one time she's like, hey, give me some of that. I'm like, okay. And really, I think it's all about exposure, right? Even exposing yourself to different foods. It could be just a little bit at a time, but consistency and just doing it over and over with different variety of foods can help you get more nutrition, more micronutrients in your body all the time.
Well, like you said, exposure, right? If you've gone to a store that's not a standard American grocery store, if you go to the Asian market, if you go to different places, you're like, I didn't even know this existed, right? If you actually went online and you did a keyword search and you said, okay, how many different varieties of insert whatever fruit or vegetable it is, right? You're like, oh, I've never even heard of 90% of these out there, right? I mean, I got to admit, I'm addicted to grapes. I love grapes. But I always grew up with the little green table grapes or the black grapes with the seeds in it, right? And when I was growing up, I only remember 2 types of grapes. Now I go to the store and I'm like, oh, moondrop grapes and these cotton candy grapes. I mean, there's a whole world out there of opportunities and different kinds of foods that we don't even know exist.
That's correct. That's so true. So true.
You talk about exposure, right? If you haven't been exposed to it, you don't even know what the possibilities are. So we're going to challenge everybody. Go to a different grocery store than you normally go to, something that maybe isn't as mainstream, and go check out their produce department right there. I mean, you don't even know what you're missing out on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we all have the attention of going to the grocery store and buying some really amazing, beautiful produce and bring it home and doing something with it. And then a lot of times we get it home and it's just like, oh my gosh, now what do I do with it? And then all of a sudden there's kind of a fear of, oh, I don't even know how to cut this thing up, or what do I do with it now? And then it goes bad. So you've wasted your time at the grocery store and now you've wasted money because you spent money on this particular food item and then you throw it away. So one of the things that I love to do is help people to take an item and figure out what to do with it efficiently, cut it up, break it down, whatever have you, and then use it, right? To really absorb some of the great things that it has to help you with your body. So, and your brain, because your brain needs good nutrition as well.
Yeah, there's so many choices. I know the first time I looked at a dragon fruit, I was like, what do you do with this? Some of these things where they have spiky things on the outside, and you're like, I don't think you're supposed to eat that part, right? So, just don't be afraid, right? If you can figure out what the name of it is, you can probably look online and find out what to do with it, right? Absolutely. So it's one of our games is we'll go to a store and say, oh, we haven't tried that before. Let's find out what that is. Buy something and we don't even recognize it. We don't even know what it is, right? Take it home and be like, all right, here we go.
Awesome. That's great. I love that. Yeah. Because really, variety is one of the keys, right? Because oftentimes we get in the same rut and we eat the same thing over and over and over again. And I mean, as long as you're eating a lot of plants, that's great. But oftentimes we need some different variety, because the more variety of plants you get, the more different kinds of nutrition you get.
Absolutely. I mean, I know even with the pets, they get tired of the same food. You got to put a little different toppers on it, right? Well, we're the same way. We need a little variety in our life, right? So
Mhm.
the choice, I guess, is making those healthy choices for the variety, and as opposed to the easy go-to. Now, those that don't really like to cook anymore, some of us might fall into that category. I used to do it a lot, right? But there's got to be ways to make this easier. I mean, do you have any hints for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times I do corporate classes for very large companies, and I just started a new series for them because I think one of the crucial initial steps, and people don't really think about it, is a pantry makeover. It doesn't have anything to do with cooking, but it has to do with organization. Because oftentimes people get home from work, they're very tired, they don't want to cook, and they have a pantry full of convenience processed foods. And it's so easy to just,
Mhm.
take that out of your pantry or on your kitchen counter and open that up and just start noshing away.
Mhm.
So one thing that I love to do is like kind of promote pantry makeover to one, kind of clean it out a little bit, like put some really healthful foods in there. And then also it'll increase your efficiency when you're actually doing the cooking for yourself. So I
Yeah.
would say that is something for some people to think about. I mean, I've walked into
Mhm.
kitchens and it's perfectly organized and their pantries look great and they have really good, bulk foods like lentils and beans and brown
Mhm.
rice and all that. So, they might not need a pantry makeover, but a lot of people,
Mhm.
might want to think about, oh, maybe that would help me, right? One, be more efficient because it's going to help
Mhm.
me find things easier as I'm
Mhm.
cooking, or two, not, not having those processed convenience foods around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
could
one's
totally
one.
see that. I know it's one of the hardest parts with my honey and I was the pantry. You're gonna laugh, is a source of contention. I tend to keep mine full. I had a house in the mountains. There's times when there was snow on the ground. We didn't necessarily go to the grocery store every couple of days, right? So I keep pantries stacked and it's organized, but if there's a lot, his thing is I can't find anything, right? Because
Mhm.
there's too much in it. So finding that kind of balance and like you said, are your choices healthy that you have in there? I was probably the worst mom. They didn't like it. They go in, they couldn't find processed cookies. I'd be like, have a piece of fruit, right? So they couldn't find soda pop. They wanted soda pop. They had literally walk to the store, get it, and bring it back. I mean, horrible mom, obviously, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I
Those
love it
poor
though.
kids, right?
Yeah. Walk
But
there.
that's the thing. I remember we had a little shelf on the fridge that I would cut up like celery, carrots, and things. And I literally have in little baggies so that anytime they were hungry, they had little snack foods they could grab right out of the fridge and it was just there waiting for them. Right. It takes a little time to think ahead on that kind of stuff, but healthy choices. Like you said, if they're hungry and they're too lazy to do anything else, they're going to grab whatever's pre-made right there. So very sneaky mom. I'm just saying.
Yes. And planning is another key. Like you were planning to have those healthy snacks in baggies waiting for them, right? Because they're going to ask you, Mom, I'm hungry. I need a snack.
It's gonna happen, right?
Mhm.
Having something planned ahead. And I know if you've got kids that are involved in sports, right? Oh my goodness, they just burn through calories. I know my youngest, he was doing like track and field and cross country, and he could burn through anything. Literally his snack. I'm like, oh, are you taking your lunch to school today? No, mom, this is just for snacks. Right. And literally he had a bag of like 5 oranges, 3 apples, and a bag of goldfish or something. Like, all the rest of it's healthy, right? So he had just massive amounts of snacks. So if you're feeding kids that are involved in sports, oh my goodness, right? You got to keep things stocked up for them. Healthy. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that now they have these little bento boxes, that
yeah.
you can have for your kids or you can have for yourself. And they're so easy to just kind of put things in there and pre-make stuff. Yeah. So
Makes life a little bit easier. Now,
it
you
does.
mentioned doing a corporate training on that. Do you do other things besides the corporate training?
Yeah, so I do, as a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, I do individual coaching. And I love to do that because it's really personalized,
Mm,
and it's very compassionate. I want to make sure that I'm in partnership with the client, and the client really leads. They are leading their own journey because wellness is a journey. It
mhm.
never really stops. right?
It's like, I'm healthy today. I don't have to do anything else the rest of my life now. It said no one ever, right?
Yes, yes. But yeah, so I do that. I love to do that. A lot of times when I do classes for groups and individuals, and not, it's also corporate, we'll get right in the kitchen. And it can be online, it can be in person, but I try to really focus on, how to become efficient, right? Because a lot of people just want to know, how do I get in the kitchen and then get out, right? Because then I can do my other stuff, spend time with my children or my partner. So we talk a lot about that, and I show them like some different options. Like one of my favorite classes that I taught was Buddha bowls, like power bowls, right? Because they're so easy to get really great food in a bowl, literally in a bowl. Yeah, so I love that. But the class after the pantry makeover we really talk about menu planning, because planning is really, like, going back to planning, it's really important. A lot of people think that menu planning is really this stressful kind of project that you have to do, and really it can be fairly easy and not stressful, and you can include foods that you love. And then after that comes meal preparation, so really getting down in the kitchen and preparing those meals. And then, going back to the baggies you were talking about, one thing that I love, and I do this in my own personal life, and I got my partner to do it, we do it 5 days a week now, is we just do smoothies every morning. And we have, you can, if you want to, is put everything that you want in your smoothies in little bags or little glass containers, and that way you just pull it out, and then you throw it right into your Vitamix or your whatever blender that you have. And it's a fantastic way to get all these different phytonutrients from plants, from fruits, from vegetables in your body right away. It's easy on the digestion. And then it just helps you start the day correctly, right? If you're getting that smoothie in your body.
All right. Now, when you say smoothie and I say smoothie, I have a feeling we're thinking two different things. So I think you're going to have to define this smoothie thing a little bit deeper, because you mentioned things like greens and so are you putting that in your smoothie in the morning?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So my husband now, because he's training, well, he's done 2 triathlons now. Oh, wow. So he's really focused on nutrition, because obviously when you're training, you really need to boost up those nutrients, right? And protein and carbs and all that kind of stuff. And so when we make smoothies, there's always a couple green things in there. So it's either spinach and or kale. We've got celery in there, and it's not, a ton, right? It's not like we put like 3 stalks of celery in there, because celery, you can taste it. But if you put enough things in there, then it's kind of hidden, right? And spinach is so mild, but a green leafy vegetable, which we all need to be eating more green leafy vegetables, it's great to put in there. As a matter of fact, I hide spinach in everything. I shouldn't even say hide. I should just say put in a lot of stuff. I just chop it up, throw it in the smoothies. I don't really chop it up, throw it in the smoothies, but like I'll throw it in spaghetti sauce and chili and all sorts of stuff, and it's just there. And then other vegetables we put in there is carrots. For natural sweetness, we'll put in some unsulfured dried apricots. We'll throw in some apples, berries, whatever berries that you choose. One of my favorites is dark sweet cherries. Love it in smoothies. And then you can put in some protein powder if you want. We have a vegan protein powder, and it's chocolate or vanilla, just to boost up the protein in there. You can put Greek yogurt in there. There's so many plants that you can throw in a smoothie, and it's really about kind of experimentation. One of the classes that I teach is like a green smoothie, a pink smoothie, and a chocolate dessert smoothie. So I kind of give people options with big lists of what you can put in. But it's a personal decision on what the plants that you like.
Right, because I'm like, yeah, no, blueberries, watermelon, I'm good. Anything beyond that, I'm like, I don't think that's what she means.
Yeah.
You're like, just hide a little spinach in there. You won't notice. But maybe I'll give it a try just for you, Michelle.
Yeah, you know what? Just take a couple leaves and just start like on baby steps, right? Just start tiny.
Right.
Yes.
It's
And
like weaning yourself off of sweet tea, 1 teaspoon of sugar at a time, right? I mean, you could wean yourself onto spinach in your smoothie, 1 leaf at a time, right?
yeah, yep. I trained under a medical doctor, and he's awesome. He was like, you know what? Just start small. If you cannot even imagine putting a green leaf in there, just put one in there. Start with one little leaf of kale or spinach, and then see how that goes. And then do that for a week, and then try 2 leaves, right? And just start small. It's always baby steps. Never want to go too fast.
I say big changes like that. I could see us being resistant. And I like my country fried steak, my country gravy, my mashed potatoes. You're not going to make me give all that up, are you?
There are times where, you can fit that into your diet, and we don't have to eat 100% clean and awesome all the time. I mean, there are times where you can have a little bit of fried food, but for the most part, try and eat healthy. I have an awesome mashed potato recipe, by the way, and I have tricked families into not realizing that they are eating combination of potatoes and cauliflower.
Mm-hmm.
And I cooked for a family for years when I got out of culinary school. And she's like, just keep making those cauliflower mashed potatoes because my kids have no idea that there's cauliflower in there.
Exactly. And I'll admit it, I have had it and it's delicious. So there's some changes we can make in our diet. Like you said, just keep transforming just a little bit more cauliflower, maybe a little less potato, right?
Yeah.
But there's options, right? You might get us healthy after all. It could happen.
Now, there's also that concept of mindful eating, right? So I talk a lot about mindfulness and mindful eating. And really, when you are more mindful about your food and your health and all that, then it kind of gives you the foundation of, okay, yes, I can have this chicken fried steak, or I can have a grilled chicken breast, right? Mm-hmm. And also, listening to your body. But mindfulness really is one of the keys. And it really starts before you put anything in your mouth, actually, right? It's all about what am I feeling? Like emotions sometimes can really cause people to grab things that are truly not good for them. And it's because they're trying to self-soothe. So really taking that few seconds and going, what's happening? What's happening in my body or in my environment?
Yeah, it's amazing when you start thinking, right? Making real choices consciously rather than just unconsciously grabbing for whatever's convenient, whatever is easy. My honey's lost a lot of weight recently, and that's exactly what it says, the mindset, right? Of no, I'm going to make a choice, a conscious choice. I'm going to have this over that. And getting him away from his bagels it was not an easy thing to do. I'm just saying, he started off by just hollowing them out. So there was half the bread, right? I mean, I was like, that's really clever. I wouldn't have thought of that, right? Okay. So he kind of just weaned himself away. And I didn't think I'd ever see the day where he didn't have a bagel a day, right? I'm like looking at him now, like, he's like, I had some yogurt for breakfast. I had a banana. And I'm like, good for you. I'm like, I'm contemplating that. Not quite that far yet, but he's setting a good example. I got to say, right? And we need that. We need some good examples. And if not, we need a coach that'll kind of help guide us through the process.
Yes.
I suspect you have all sorts of goodies on your website. If we pull up your website, you can take us on a tour and tell us what it is that we need in our life, right?
Yeah.
What goodies do we have on here? Where should we go if we go to your website?
Yep. Within the website, you can get a downloaded PDF of healthy snacks and meal ideas, totally for free. And sometimes it'll have a little pop-up that comes up.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Yep. And then, or of course, you might have already gone to the website, so maybe it's not popping up anymore. And also there is a downloadable version of the wellness wheel, which may be a new concept for people. But there are
wellness wheel. Tell me about that. What's this wellness wheel you speak of?
Yes, there are 8 dimensions of wellness. And many times we think of just one dimension, and that's physical wellness. So nutrition and exercise and also sleep are in that physical dimension, but there's all different types of, there it is. There's the wellness, which you can download.
Oh, and there's your pop-up.
There we go. There we go. And so wellness is multidimensional and also interconnected. So all of those pies are connected to each other. So you've got emotional and social, environmental, right? So they all play on each other. And then in one of the books that I wrote, I talk about the wellness wheel, and it's the Break Free to Health and Vitality. Yep.
Okay, so you're right there. So all of them international bestsellers. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank
you.
you.
So Break Free to Health and Vitality. So you talk about the wheel and how that works and how that plays in. Tell us a little bit more about that for those of us that aren't familiar with the wheel.
Correct. So you know how I talked about emotions a little bit earlier. And so picture that your health is a wheel, right? And each dimension. So oftentimes when we have, let's say, an emotional problem, as I talked about earlier, it can also affect your physical wellness, right? And so it's really about being conscious, aware, and awake to what's kind of happening in these different dimensions. And then some dimensions might need to be propped up a little bit in order to positively affect another dimension. So personally, I had a very bumpy wellness wheel. And bumpy meaning, for example, emotionally, I wasn't doing that great. Okay. So if I put a little dot, like to kind of signify where my wellness was on emotional wellness, it would be closer to the center of the wheel. Right. So my emotional wellness was, more towards the center. But let's say my environmental wellness was closer to the outer edge. So you put all these dots, right? One dot for one dimension. And mine was kind of bumpy, right?
Yeah. And so it wasn't really a wheel anymore. Right. It was like discontorted kind of, all right.
Yeah. So instead of, going down the road, like kind of smooth, I was like, thump. And I kind of explained that in my book. And so and this is all hindsight, right? Because back in the day, I knew nothing of this.
Right.
And nobody's going to have that perfect wheel. I mean, life happens, right? Stress happens. But to know that, okay, I need to maybe prop this up a little bit more to affect this dimension. It's all about going back to being mindful and awareness.
Yeah. So kind of balance out your wheel so that you can be healthy on a whole. Because that's what happens sometimes, right? We take one thing really well extreme and then one side is like, oops, right? So trying to find that kind of balance to kind of keep ourselves healthy.
Correct. Yep.
I love that. So that's your first book, right?
That's my second book. So actually the first book was Break Free. Yeah. The second book. And these are compilations. So these are anthologies. So I'm just one author in both of these anthologies. Yeah. So the first one is Break Free to Stand in Your Power. And I really talk about my story and how I had a lot of eating issues. I was not a great eater. I was a binge eater, suffered for, 15 years. A lot of self-flogging was going on, right? A lot of guilt, a lot of pain. And really, so one of my passions is to kind of help people who feel like, I'm tired of feeling guilty all the time. I'm tired of dieting. I'm tired of not feeling good, and just beating myself up all the time. Like I was beating myself up all the time. I blew my diet again, right? And then I feel like, I got to start all over again. And, physically, crying over eating a piece of chocolate cake. It was awful. It was terrible. Right. And so I really love to kind of help people have a better relationship with food, because really food is there for us to enjoy. We should enjoy food. But for many of us, including me, I was not enjoying food at all. I was looking at something that was, this monster that was causing me pain on a daily basis.
Right. And so we have to eat every day. So you're basically traumatizing yourself all day, every day.
Yeah, right. You're beating yourself up every day. Right. And so that was Break Free to Stand in Your Power. And then Break Free to Health and Vitality. I really talk about the wheel and one of my clients who really wasn't even focusing on weight loss. But once we created a partnership, worked together, she ended up, because she was in a lot of physical pain too. So she couldn't really have a lot of movement because of her pain. So we started out very small. We started out, the small anti-inflammatory diet goal. And, after a couple months, she was able to walk more because we really looked at her lifestyle. And, she was a small business owner. So she had to, walk in the morning because she'd be too tired at night. Very small goals, work them up. And she dropped a couple dress sizes. She's like, I wasn't even working on weight, but physically and mentally, she was so amazed with her transformation. And I was so happy that I was there with her during this transformation. Right. And it's just one of those things that I get goosebumps talking about, people who have made positive changes and really taken control of their health.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we like to ignore until we can't ignore it anymore, right? So I love this. So if anybody wants your book, they can access them through your website. So that is mindful-eating.com. So those that are listening and aren't actually watching us, we've been scrolling across the bottom. We'll do it again, and we'll keep doing that because we want to make sure they can reach out to you. So your website, you've got the books, you've got the wheel. Is there any other cool stuff on there we should be sending them to?
There is a download for a list of healthy snacks, because oftentimes people are like, what do I snack on? Because it is so important that we keep that those blood sugar levels stable. And that's one of the keys to good health, is blood sugar stability, and not these roller coasters. And when you're getting on these roller coasters, that can affect your productivity. It can even affect relationships. Because I don't know about you, but oftentimes if in the past, if I got really hungry, like my claws would come out, I would not be a happy person. So there it is. You can
download a free guide to healthy breakfast snacks and tips. I love that.
Yeah.
So we can download that, and we've got some access to some nice healthy options, right? Because sometimes we're just brain dead, right? We don't want to think that hard. It's been a long day, whatever. It's nice to have a go-to expert. Now, I'm going to say, as I'm scrolling across your website, look at all these initial things you've got. What is all that? You have more initials and acronyms at the end of this thing than I think. Talk to us. What does this all mean?
Yep. So MS is master. So I have a master's. NBC-HWC is Nationally Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. And there's a small group of health and wellness coaches that are nationally board certified. So you know how like a clinician has to take their boards. So health and wellness coaches, if they want to be NBHWC, go in and take a board test, right? They have to go to a location. They can't leave or anything like that. It's, most of the day. So I do have a board certification there. I have a master certification health coaching. So that's MCHC, Master Certified Health Coach. And then CC is a certified chef.
Wow. Look at all that. So what we're saying is you might know a thing or two.
I don't know everything, that is for sure. I wish that I did. Oh my gosh, there's so much to know. And there's so many new things happening in the world of nutrition and health, and even mental health, right? How our lifestyle, our diet, our movement, everything affects us mentally. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know for myself, if I'm going down a path of not feeling right mentally or emotionally, get up and move, right? Get up and move, get your blood flowing, get up, go for a walk, grab the dog, go for a walk, whatever it is. And I found like during the pandemic where we had a lot of shutdowns and less socializing in person, right? That was kind of oppressive, right? So that was my secret. That's how I kept my sanity. Get up and move, right? And I think there's a lot of people that probably put on some weight during that time period, right? Where we're at home, we can't go out as much. And so there might be a few people out there that still have a few extra pounds to take off that, probably need to be looking at how they're eating and being healthy. Not that I'm pointing any fingers at all, but, there's probably a few of us out there still, right? So you've got what you do for corporate, right? You've got stuff that you do for individuals. You've got the books. You've got all these freebies for us. Oh my goodness, what a wealth of knowledge you are. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Christine. It was such an awesome time today. I really had fun.
I want to make sure that we let people know. So if they're looking for someone to coach them and work through the process, you're definitely available for individual coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on your website, you know what? Let's pop that up one more time.
Okay.
I am thinking there's a spot on there to book, right? So if they want to make an appointment with you, I bet it's right here on Contact Us, if I remember where I saw it. So if we scroll down, there's your phone number. Here's an email to drop you a line and schedule a free consultation, right? So schedule now, right? And then they can actually talk to you.
Absolutely.
So if it's somebody looking for some coaching one-on-one, you also mentioned the organization. So what if somebody works in HR or event and that kind of stuff, an organization, and they might want to have something on the organization level for you to come in and talk, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. So they should reach out to you again, right?
Yep. So I've worked with a lot of medium to Fortune 100 companies, directly or online. Currently, I have a hospital that I'm working with for all their employees because they are very stressed out. So right now, wellness employees, you know, they spend so much time taking care of other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that they don't always remember to take care of themselves and make themselves a priority. That's definitely one of those things. So really appreciate you coming on DFW Networking Diva and talking to us. I'm so glad we could connect the audience with you and all your wonderful skills. And if anybody wants to reach out to Michelle, remember that she's got her website, and that is visit Michelle's website at www.mindful-eating.com. And she just has so much information on there. So if this is something you've been struggling with, I wanted to make sure we connect you with somebody who can give you a hand with it. And I may have to give her a call about this myself. So this is a wonderful resource. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Michelle. And we will talk with y'all again soon. Once again, DFW Networking Diva, Christine D, signing out. Thanks, y'all.